We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. We're gonna make it look fly with some DIY. Uh-oh, thrift diving.
Hey, what's up? It's Serena Pia from thriftiving.com, which is a podcast, a blog, and a YouTube channel that helps you decorate, improve, and maintain your home with paint, power tools, and thrift stores without sacrificing your budget, the environment, or style. Welcome to episode 67 of the Thrift Diving Podcast, and today we're talking about bugs. I'm so sorry. It's a creepy episode. This is the episode that I don't want to talk about. It's not a fun episode, but I think it's something that we have to talk about because this was my world this week. That's right. I discovered a bug infestation in my pantry. All the beans and really everything was covered, literally covered, because they were sitting everywhere and they were in all the boxes, and they're called bean weevils. And I'd never heard of this pest before. I mean, I knew that things can get into like your beans and things like that, but it's never been a problem for me. So I never really thought about it. Well, that's what I was dealing with this week. So today we're actually going to talk about this because if this is something that I've dealt with, at some point you may have a bug infestation too, and it's going to freak you out. You're going to think, oh my gosh, what do I do? So we're going to talk about it today. Hopefully this will maybe even prevent you from having a problem in the future. I don't know, but we're going to talk about it today. So let me explain what happened to you, or what happened to me this week. All right, so I just got a new floor. I think I told you that in a recent episode. We just got a new tile floor. And I didn't do the work myself because, well, to go back to the previous episodes where I was telling you we had a leak in the kitchen, the floor needed to be completely ripped out and redone. And the insurance company stepped in and said, here's a check, go get a new floor. Well, I added a little bit of money to it so I could get a nice tile floor, something that's just like one and done, shouldn't have to redo it again. So anyway, the tile grout needs to be sealed, right? Like if you don't seal your tile grout, it's going to get dirty, it's going to get wet. It's just not going to look good after you get the flooring done. So I'd ordered this tile grout sealer, and I really didn't feel like doing it this week, but it's one of those things that if you don't do it, you know that you're going to regret it later. So I moved some things out of the way and I said, well, let me just do this one little section. Let's see how it goes. Like did I ever seal grout before? I think I've sealed grout before, but I was not looking forward to this. And I was this close to saying, I'll just do it later. But I said, I'm going to do it now. So I got on my hands and knees and I started sealing this grout, just making sure that it's where I need it to be. And I get to the pantry, and my pantry's not big. It's not a walk-in pantry. It's just probably a 2.5 foot by 3 foot pantry, or 3 by 3. Like it's really small. And I'm on my hands and knees and I'm about to move some things aside so I can apply this grout sealer. And I noticed these little bugs and I'm like, what is that? There was like 3 or 4 of them. And you know, when you find 3 or 4 all in the same location, you have an infestation. So I started freaking out. So I'm calling my husband and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? We don't have a ton of food in our pantry. It's not even just food. I mean, we store other things there too. But I knew that I was going to need some help with this. So he comes down and I'm like so upset. We've got an infestation. There's all these little bugs. So I was able to get a couple of them live and put them in a plastic bag. And I'm showing him like, what are these bugs? I don't know where it came from. And he said, oh, I think I know where it came from. I think it might be the beans that my brother brought over from Ghana back in January. Now, keep in mind, this is May already, right? Like we're in the middle of May. And so he pulls out the beans, the bag of beans. We didn't store them anywhere, but we just had them in a plastic bag. And sure enough, there's beetles all in the bag. I'm freaking out at this point. And he takes it outside, discards it. And I know that we have to clean this closet out. And I said, look, I just need for you, whatever it is that you're doing, I need you to please stop and help me do this because I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this all myself. I've got the vacuum. I'll pass you the items and you just kind of put them over there on the floor, check them. And if there's anything on it, I'm going to vacuum it up. So we make our way doing this, this process of checking everything. And even things that were unopened, the beetles were in there. I mean, they weren't, let's just say they weren't as like infested as they were in the beans, but there was at least one or two in so many things that were not even open, like packs of spaghetti, packs of macaroni, things that you didn't think that they would be in there. So in my mind, we're just throwing everything away. Like, I don't care. I don't care how much money we've spent on a box of macaroni, and we're going to throw this thing away. And then my husband, he wanted to not throw it away. Oh no, that's fine. It's not even opened. But with these bean weevils, and they're called bean weevils, Weevils, and I'd never heard of these. Have you heard of these? Or am I just like so naive that I've been living my life and have never encountered a bean weevil? So when I discovered it, I went to Google, of course, because Google knows everything. And I just typed in beetle in the beans. And sure enough, there was pictures of bean weevils. So they said you have to eliminate the source, of course. So with the beans out, then we were able to take everything out. And I'm trying to tell my husband, please do not shake things out. Put them over on the tile floor. It's a light colored gray tile. So any little black beetle, you're going to see it. You're just, if there's one there, I'll vacuum it up, wipe it down. We're going to triple check everything. So he was really making me upset because he's piling things on the table in the kitchen. And I'm like, you can't cross-contaminate. Like, everything needs to be on the floor in a safe, designated spot. So anyway, after doing a little bit of research, I realized I need to vacuum everything up. I need to caulk any sort of crack or seam where these beetles could have hidden. And then we just have to kind of wait it out a little bit. But we also need to get some containers. So I thought that today we could talk about, how do you prevent this from even happening? And if you do discover that you've got an infestation, maybe it's bean weevils. I don't know the odds of that happening to you, but how do you prevent yourself from even getting into this situation? Whether it's bean weevils, whether it's, God forbid, bed bugs or some other kind of infestation that gets in and you don't realize it until it's, I don't want to say too late, but until you have a problem. What do you do? How do you prevent it and how do you treat it? So let's talk about prevention. So from what I can understand, just from doing my research and just common sense, anything that you bring into your house, you have to check it. And I think sometimes we get so comfortable with the idea that, oh, if we buy something at the store, it's brand new. It's not like we're buying an open box of spaghetti or macaroni or flour, which is what these bean weevils like to eat, and grains, rice. No, of course it's going to be fine. So we just bring it into our house. We put it into the cabinet or into the pantry, and that's it. We don't ever think that there's something in there. And now, of course, I know that that may not be the case. So it's making me a little freaked out, actually, because, even if you don't see the bean weevil, there could be eggs inside of there. There could be larvae. There could be little small babies. It just makes me freaked out. Is your skin crawling the way mine is right now? You should see when I go into my kitchen now. My eyes just do this complete scan, like, it scans like, when you're watching a movie and like Terminator or something, and how the robot's vision just can scan an environment in 3 to 4 seconds, and it makes that beeping noise like, that's what my eyes do, because I'm looking for any leftover bean weevils. And I actually did find a few that were left over. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. So the first thing that you have to do in order to even prevent having a bug infestation is you really have to check everything that you're bringing in. Even things like carpet beetles, they love cut flowers. And I think I may have mentioned this to you in a previous episode, but a couple summers ago, I had a carpet beetle infestation in my minivan. And I didn't even realize it until I started seeing carpet beetles. And, most homes, if you remember from, I think it might be episode 5, I'll leave a link down in the show notes. But if you remember from the episode 5 where I was interviewing the guy, Rory, he owns the company called Bug Boys. That's my pest control company. And I interviewed him and he said, carpet beetles are so common. They're common in like 95% of homes. All you can do is vacuum. Like, that's how you keep the population down. You just vacuum. And if you check your windowsills or like on the floor near the windows, you probably will see a carpet beetle. They're very, very small, and their bodies are like multicolored and like with shades of brown, and they're very slow. They fly, but they're very slow walkers. Well, these bean weevils, they're not fast, but they don't fly. So they can cover a lot of ground in your pantry. But anyway, with cut flowers, that's how I had brought them into my van, because one day, just wasn't thinking about it. I had gotten some flowers from Home Depot, left them in the back of my van, and I think that is what sparked the infestation. So on this one particular day, I'm like, why am I seeing like 3 or 4? Why is this carpet beetle on my leg? Like, what the heck? And then I realized, wait a minute, I think I have an infestation. And I ordered some products from some website, and it's supposed to kill the carpet beetles, but it's supposed to interrupt the life cycle, right? So if there's any eggs or larvae, it'll kill those as well. I tell you right now, I spent an entire day spraying the heck out of my entire vehicle. Like, I vacuumed everywhere. The seats came out, even the parts where the seats actually connect to the car. Like, I unscrewed those and got way down into like the belly of the vehicle. and sure enough, that's where I saw that there was activity. So they were hiding in those little, like, the latches, not the latches of the seatbelt, but down in the vehicle. I treated every square inch of my vehicle, and thank God that was enough to take care of the problem. Never had a problem again. And now I've learned my lesson. When I bring cut flowers or, any sort of gardening things from Home Depot, number one, there is a tarp that goes down. And so anything that would happen to maybe fall off of the flowers or plants or mulch or whatever, it's going to land on the protection that I have back there. It's not going to get all over of course they can fly, as I said, but if you're just taking a 20-minute ride from the store, you're not going to have a problem. But the minute you get home, you need to take everything out. Take that tarp, shake it out, make sure there's nothing on it. And that should help prevent any sort of infestations in your vehicle. But the same is true for your home too. Like, if you're bringing flowers home into your house, make sure, I don't think there's a way that you can really check them, but if there's some sort of like diatomaceous earth, which is, we'll talk about that in just a moment, but diatomaceous earth is something that you can sprinkle on flowers to, kill. Actually, what it does is it's made up of sea vegetables, like dehydrated sea vegetables. And to us, it looks like a powder. But if you look at it under a microscope, it's actually very sharp. And what it does is it cuts the exoskeleton of the beetles, of roaches, of ants, that hard exoskeleton that they have, and they dehydrate. So you definitely want to get some diatomaceous earth, the food grade kind. It's not harmful to kids or pets. You don't want to breathe that stuff in, though. So as you're placing it around the perimeter or on your flowers or places like that, you don't want to breathe it in. So wear a mask. But we'll talk a little bit more about that, because there is a way for you to apply it so that you're not just dumping it, on your plants and things. Now, getting back to actually checking the stuff that you're bringing in, everything that I'm bringing into the house at this point, I am checking thoroughly. And I'm not going to make the assumption that, oh, there's no bugs in this. Of course not. So that's just one thing to get into the habit of. You probably already do that. I should have been doing that. I didn't even think about it. But now, of course, I know. So I'm going to be checking all food items. Another thing is, if you're not organized already with those plastic, the hard plastic airtight containers, definitely get yourself some of those. And I think I may have spent, probably at least $150, if not more, on those OXO food storage containers, the ones where you have to push it down and then it makes it airtight. And then when you push it back up, it releases the lid. I went to Costco today and I bought 2 big, packs of them. I think it was like a 9-piece set. And I bought 2 packs of those. So it had 18. And then just yesterday I went to Target and bought like another pack. It was just crazy. So now my pantry and my snack cabinet is completely full of these airtight sealers. And I'd never thought about them before. I just go to the store, buy pack of crackers or whatever it is, a bag of flour, and just roll it up and leave it in the cabinet. Like I never really thought about it. But going forward, if you're not someone who's super organized like that, then definitely invest in some. And if you have someone that has a Costco membership, I think you can actually get them on sale at certain times. But today they were not on sale. I just bought them for a pack of 9. I want to say it was like $65, $69, I think. And I think that's pretty expensive. I ended up buying 2. And the only reason I bought 2 is because for my Costco membership, if you like for the executive membership, they give you 2% back. So I actually had like a little gift certificate from cash back that I'd spent and just decided to use it on those. So when I came home, all the cereal, thankfully I didn't see any of the bean weevils in the cereal. However, even though there was a box of unopened cereal, one of the boxes that was sitting in the pantry, there was actually one at the bottom of the box. So taking that cardboard and putting it in the recyclable, checking it for any beetles is really the way to go. I can't even look at anything in like an innocuous way. Now, when I bring it into the house, I'm going to have to triple check everything and unbox everything. So do that. Make sure you get some airtight plastic containers. And I would tell you to make sure that the shelves in your pantry or your cabinets, make sure they're light colored. And the reason I say that is because, bugs tend to be what color? They're dark, right? They're brown, they're black. And if you can actually see them, you're going to notice them much sooner. In my pantry, they're stained. It's a dark wood stain. And I think at this point, I may even decide to maybe cover them with some contact paper or something light so that if you do see something out of the ordinary, you're going to see a black bug sitting on a light colored shelf more than you would a dark colored stained wood. And when I realized that, hey, we've got this problem, and I started pulling some things away, there they were. You can't even see them. You could not even see them. And if I had light colored shelving, I would have noticed it much sooner. So, that's just something for you to consider if you do have dark colored shelves in your pantry or your cabinets. Another thing is vacuum regularly. Now, I think I'm pretty good about keeping my kitchen clean. If you have listened to my previous episode, I'm not sure of the number, you can find it down below. My kitchen is the place where I am so proud of because I have kept it clean for the past 3 years. I can't say that's true for every room in my house, but this particular room, I am adamantly like, pick up your dishes, put them in the sink, wash them right away, put them away, wipe the crumbs, don't leave any strawberry jam, you're going to get ants. Like that's how meticulous I try to be about my kitchen. And so that's one place where I do vacuum regularly, or my son's supposed to, but he doesn't really do a good job. So I usually go behind him the next day after breakfast, making sure, and I just didn't notice. I just didn't notice that there was any bugs on the floor. Now, keep in mind, we just had a new floor put in, as I mentioned, a tile floor, which is a light colored gray. And I think now it's definitely much more noticeable. So maybe that's why I'm just now noticing it because of the floor. But before it was like a tan, not tan, but like I don't know, whatever that laminate, that old 1990s laminate color, that's what it looked like. And I think it's easier for that to blend in a little bit. So do that, vacuum regularly. And I wish that I had maintained my vacuuming schedule. I used to be so good about this. Saturdays was my vacuum upstairs day. So I'd vacuum literally every place upstairs. That's where I would vacuum on Saturdays. And then Sundays was vacuum the lower level. It's been a while since I've been sticking to that. And I think after going crazy these last couple of days and literally vacuuming every square inch of my house, I realize it's not really good to wait till you are just sort of in this frenzy of a cleaning mood, and then you have to go through and vacuum everything. So if you come up with a vacuuming schedule, it helps you to maintain that cleanliness so that you're not having to, find some sort of infestation and then suddenly you're like, I've got to clean everything. And I'll admit, I've gotten a little lazy with my vacuuming schedule. But going forward, after having spent the last 2 days vacuuming every place, I'm going to get back to that. Saturdays, vacuum upstairs. Sundays, vacuum downstairs. And that way you can at least ensure it gets done once a week and not sporadically with this room getting more attention than the next room. So the next thing is just to stay organized. As I was cleaning up everything, vacuuming, it made me realize like the people who live minimalist lifestyles that don't have very much in their house or they just have the essentials, you really don't have a lot of things to move out of the way or to check. You know what I'm saying? Like if I I will say that I'm not a minimalist in any kind of capacity. I'm not a hoarder, although we had that conversation recently. I'm trying to let go of those hoarding ways. I'm not really a minimalist, but I would say that in the pantry, we didn't have a ton of food. So it wasn't like there was, grocery carts full of food that needed to be pulled out and thrown away or put into the freezer to kill off any eggs for 3 days. I didn't have to do that because I didn't have a lot of stuff. And it made me realize like the less stuff you have, the easier it is to manage it. We all know that, right? But it's when you have a crisis like this and you don't have that much stuff to sort through or to vacuum around, it makes you appreciate the fact that if something comes up, it's just a matter of, a few things that you have to manage and clean up versus a whole room. And now you're like, where do I even start? How do I even get into that corner? I can't even reach that corner. And I don't really have any, aside from the garage, which can you believe it? I actually started cleaning up the garage today. This week. It felt so good. That's what I was doing on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? I think I did it Monday and Tuesday. And then it was Wednesday when I realized, oh my gosh, we have freaking bean weevils in the pantry. So Monday and Tuesday, I started making progress on the garage. So you'll see that soon. I will take some pictures. I've not been recording it because sometimes I just get into this mood where I don't feel like recording. I just literally want to work on something and just focus on it and not move a camera around. There's not a lot of space in that garage anyway to move a camera around. However, if you are, having spots in your home where you can't reach because you've got so much stuff, like my one corner in the garage, it makes it more difficult to even take care of your normal routine vacuuming so that you don't have a problem with an infestation. So another thing is not another thing, but main thing is just minimize your lifestyle. Minimize the stuff that you have stored up in different corners. Another thing is to use glue traps and check them often. Glue traps, I feel like glue traps don't get enough, they're not celebrated enough. Those things work really, really well. In fact, after I did all the cleaning in the pantry, I cleaned everything down with hot soapy water, sprayed it with vinegar. I caulked the entire closet, any sort of cracks, nooks, crannies, whatever, I caulked it. And then I put glue traps down on the floor, and I put a lot of them. And I wanted to trap any last little, bean weevil that could possibly come out of hiding. And I've actually caught a couple more. I'm like, where did you even come from? As thorough as I've cleaned this and caulked it, where did you come from? Like, what were you hiding in? So I did capture a couple others, but they landed on the glue traps. And I don't know if there's something in the glue trap that is attracting them. I hope. But I did catch a couple. So with glue traps, if you put them down sporadically around your house, you're going to capture a lot of stuff. Mostly spiders, probably some random ants that are out looking for food. But a lot of people, I don't think they utilize them as much as they should. In fact, just today, because I was on my cleaning streak, I'm down here I'm not even in the shed yet. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But down here in my basement, it had been a while. I work down here. I do my blog posts and my podcast down here. And it's been a while since I have vacuumed down here. So today I was vacuuming and pulling things out. And one of the glue traps that I had behind something, there was so many spiders on there and some of those black beetles, those big black beetles. I don't even know what kind of black beetles, but they were big black beetles. There were so many on there. And I thought, my gosh, if I hadn't put that glue trap there, there'd be a whole much more like infestation of freaking spiders. And I do have a as I told you, a plan. So they come, the exterminator plan, they come every 3 months and they spray the perimeter, but I don't have them come in often to spray the inside. I usually just have them do the outside, but they're supposed to be coming on Tuesday and they're supposed to come in and maybe spray for I don't even know if you can spray for bean weevils, but I'm just going to have them come in and spray and like just in that pantry area and around the kitchen just to make sure. But anyway, get some glue traps. You can order them from Amazon. You can probably get a nice fat stack for not very much money and put them, I said puss. That was funny. Put them strategically around your home. Put them in your pantry. If you have pantry moths, get some of those that actually have, I think they have like a pheromone in them that will attract the moths. I don't know if they work for the bean weevils. I was doing a little search online to see if the ones that they have for the moths will actually attract the bean weevils. And I couldn't find anything. So I'm going to keep researching that. But use those glue traps, check them often, change them out every 2-3 months. And it really helps you to monitor what's going on in that area. And I think because I'd seen so many spiders and the black beetles in the basement, I think next time they come, I'm going to have them come in and just do a spray down here in the basement. And the other thing is to use diatomaceous earth. I mentioned it earlier. It cuts their exoskeleton and they dehydrate. So it's not going to happen right away where, if you're using like an ant spray, that stuff works immediately, but it's toxic. You don't want to breathe that stuff in and have it around your pets, around your kids, your grandkids. So the diatomaceous earth, what I like to do is put it in the cracks and corners. And there's it's like a little pump thing. How can I explain it? It's like a little accordion pump that you just put some of it in there and you just squeeze it a little bit and it'll give a fine mist. That's really all you need. I mean, I like to just pour the whole diatomaceous earth in the crack, which is overkill, right? Like that's just overkill. So you really only need just a little puff, but make sure that you're wearing a mask because you don't want to breathe that in. Remember, even though it looks like powder to us, it is actually dehydrated like sea vegetables, and it could get in there and irritate your lungs because it can get in there and start scratching your lungs. So those are the ways to trying to prevent the infestations. And I really wish I had been better about doing that. But again, I just didn't even really realize that bean weevils could be a factor. So in terms of cleanup, if you do find an infestation, here are some things that you can do to try to clean it up. And I've talked a little bit about what I've been doing, but the main thing is vacuum, vacuum, vacuum. A lot of times things like ants, those are, I feel like ants are easier because you can just put down some like poison and then they just come and they just eat it up and they go and die. They're easy. They're really easy to kill off. But things like the bean weevils, even carpet beetles, they're attracted to, well, at least the bean weevils are attracted to the beans and the grains and flour and things like that. But there's no trap that I can find that's luring them. So the only thing you can really do is to vacuum. The cleaner that you keep your house, the more likely that you are that if there is something there, you're going to vacuum it up. And when you're vacuuming, make sure that you don't leave all that stuff in your vacuum. Dump it out immediately and then take it out to your trash can. Don't leave it inside. What I like to do is take just, like a small shopping bag, like a Target bag. I don't usually get plastic bags, but take like a Target shopping bag, dump the contents of the vacuum dirt into the Target bag, fold it up, put that in your trash, and then take the whole thing out. You don't want to leave it in your house. So vacuum, vacuum, vacuum. That's the one thing that's going to help the most. Another thing is, if you do have an infestation, like I'd mentioned, have a safe place where you can clean up. So in my case, the safe place was the tile floor. Over near the door, there was no hiding place for the bugs. And I kept telling my husband, don't put the stuff on the table. Don't shake out the bags because if you shake it out, you're going to shake beetles everywhere. So have a safe place where if something falls off, you can see it, you can vacuum it up immediately, and you're less likely to cross-contaminate. And honestly, if these bugs were there since January and it's May, who knows where they've gone? To be honest with you, that's why I've been so adamant about, like, every day now I'm vacuuming the entire house, just in case there's one or two that just wanted to go off and explore the house. We just want to make sure we're getting everything. Their food source is the pantry, so that's generally where you're going to find them. And even the extra few that I found over the last couple days has been in the pantry. So they're either still in there, they're coming out of a crack that I wasn't able to seal, but whatever it is, I'm going to vacuum it up, and if I'm cleaning things, I'm going to have a safe place so I'm not cross-contaminating to rugs and other places where it can't be seen. Another tip is always keep some black contractors' plastic trash bags. These things, guys, are amazing. These are huge black trash bags. You can get them from Home Depot. I think for a box, you might pay about $20, but they're so heavy duty. So it doesn't matter what you put in there. Those bags are not ripping. Those bags are not tearing. And if you're cleaning things out and you're trying to discard containers that have bugs in them, you don't want a piece of the edge of a cardboard box to slash that cheap plastic bag that you got, probably an eco-friendly one. Because that eco-friendly stuff, as much as I love using those bags, they're so weak, which I can understand. They're biodegradable, right? But that's not what you want when you're trying to clean up infestations, or even if you're cleaning out your garage to donate stuff. You don't want the bags to rip on you. Throw that stuff into the black contractor's bag, toss it in the trash with the bugs, or donate, whatever it is that you need to do with those trash bags. But keep them on hand so that they're always there if you need them. That would be a great tip. And another thing is, as I mentioned, may have mentioned this already, once you have emptied things into these black trash bags, take it outside immediately. Even if you can clean things out outside, that's even better. But if you're inside, you're cleaning things out, make sure that you're taking those out immediately. Don't leave that stuff in your trash can. And again, clean up, put some diatomaceous earth. That's used for preventative, but also it can be used once you have actually started cleaning things up. Make sure that's kind of like your final step. Here's another tip too. I guess it was probably about a year, maybe about 2 years ago, here in the basement when I was putting baseboards down. And I've seen this tip on Facebook, but you can use either diatomaceous earth behind your baseboards before you install baseboards, or you can use, what is it that kills roaches? Boric acid. Boric acid. You can use boric acid. I don't know if boric acid will kill the bean weevils. I know that diatomaceous earth will cut them and will dehydrate them. But whenever you're doing a DIY project, maybe like new flooring, and you're taking off those baseboards, put a little bit of diatomaceous earth behind those baseboards before you install them. That way, if you do have ants or carpet beetles or things like that that like to hide behind your walls, you have a little bit of protection. Over time, it doesn't go bad. Same with boric acid, it doesn't go bad. In fact, the tip that I saw on Facebook was really cool. It was saying, and I wish I had done this with my shed. I wasn't even thinking about it. I will do it when I do the flooring and the baseboards, however. But the tip on Facebook said, if you are building a house, this could be true for a shed as well, before you enclose the walls with drywall, sprinkle boric acid in the walls, like right behind that framing. And that way, if you have any problem at any point down the road, you will have a level of protection there with the boric acid, at least with roaches. Now, the same can be true with, the diatomaceous earth. That will still cut roaches. It'll cut, I hate to say the word roach. I hate roaches. I don't even want to talk about roaches, but it will cut any sort of insect that has an exoskeleton. So I will be doing that in my shed when I get the flooring and the baseboards done. So anyway, those are just some tips for you. I know that most people probably aren't going to get insect infestations in their pantry or maybe in their home. I don't know. But I just had to talk about this because it literally has been controlling my entire week. I've not done hardly any work this week. That has been my job, is cleaning the pantry and just being super vigilant to make sure that, whatever lingering bugs that are near the pantry or in the pantry that I've taken care of them. And, you know, my family thinks I'm a little crazy. I don't know if sometimes they think I'm really crazy when it comes to bugs, but I just don't like bugs. I don't, you know, I'm not going to kill a bug outside of my home, but if you come inside my home, it's war. And I am going to do whatever I can to make sure that you do not have access to any other parts of my home. I'm killing you. I am killing you. I have no respect for your life, you little bug. So those are some things you can do. Let me give you an update on my shed. Today, the Tough Shed people came, thank God, and they installed the little drip pan. It's not a drip pan, actually. Let me take that back. It is a door sill, can't remember the name of it, door sill flashing. So I had one for the side door and I had one for the French door, and they installed that today. So I am actually wishing for rain. I think we're going to get some this weekend. So I can see whether or not it works. But they did an excellent job. They put it down underneath the door. They put extra flashing tape, extra caulking. I mean, he just did everything possible so that there will be no problem with this door. Crossing my fingers. Please cross your fingers for me, because I'm ready to move on to flooring. And I can't do that until the door is definitely not leaking, either of the doors. So that's great. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. I want to know from you, have you ever had a bug infestation in your house? Have you ever had bean weevils in your pantry? Did you ever have moths in your pantry? Did you ever have, oh gosh, I don't want to say it, roaches or bed bugs? Oh, let me tell you, after cleaning out this pantry and seeing how crazy it has made me with wanting to clean everything around the house and in the pantry, it made me realize, like, I am feeling so sorry for people that have to deal with bed bug infestations. Like, seriously, because, you know, those things get into every place. They even get into, like, behind your outlets. That's how crazy it is. So when you find some bed bugs, that's not really something you want to treat on your own. Go back to episode, I believe it's 5, where I did the interview with Rory from Bug Boys. He talks about that. You can find that link down below in the show notes. And there's also a video. You got to watch the video. You will not believe the footage that he allowed me to use from the bed bugs. Oh, it's crazy. But it made me realize, like, when you have an infestation, it really messes with your sanity. It makes you feel not comfortable in your home. And that's not what we want. We want to come home and feel like this is our safe space. We don't want to walk around on tiptoes because we're afraid something's going to jump out and say boo. And that's how I've been feeling the last few days. Like, I'm looking around, scanning, beep, 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 ready to spot something. I'm ready to feel comfortable again in my home. And, you know, if you are somebody that is dealing with something like bed bugs, that is a huge like correction. I guess that's the word. Was that the word I'm looking for? Like, it's a huge problem to tackle, because what Rory had said, everything that you own has to go into big plastic storage containers, and then they treat your house, and then they have to literally go through all of your belongings to make sure there's nothing in there. And knowing the stress that I went through with just the pantry, and then having to do that, to think of doing that with my whole house, is insane. So this idea of prevention, really checking what you bring into your house, is so important. At this point, even when I order from Amazon, like, you know, it's not unusual for me to leave boxes at my entryway for a week or two, sometimes, especially if I don't need it right away. Instead of opening the box right away, putting away the thing that I just bought. But now I'm looking at it as in an entirely different way. Like, everything I bring in needs to be opened and inspected and put into its place where I know if there's something in it, it's not getting out. If there's something in my house, we're going to make sure it doesn't get in, right? Like those food storage containers. I'm just thinking of my house in a different way, my inspections that have to take place. And I'm going to invite you to do the same thing, right? Like, make sure that you're inspecting everything that you're bringing in so that you don't have a bigger problem that drives you crazy, that costs you money, that takes away that feeling of safety and comfort that you have in your home. All right, guys, that's what I have for you this week. Come back again next week for episode 68, and I will talk to you next episode.